All right, today we're jumping into a tool that's really changing the game for data pipelines. We're talking about Dagster, a data orchestrator built for the modern world, and it's designed to bring some serious order to the data chaos we all know and love. But let's start with a question I think pretty much anyone in data has asked themselves, probably at 2 a.m. while debugging a failed job. Why do our data pipelines, the very foundation of our analytics and ML, so often feel like this fragile house of cards, just waiting for a breeze to knock it all over? Well, the answer is actually simpler than you might think, but it's a huge deal. For years, our tools have been completely obsessed with one thing, running tasks. Executing scripts, triggering jobs. They just weren't built to understand the most important part of the whole equation, the actual data being created. Okay, let's really dig into that. To get why Dagster is such a big shift, we first have to talk about the common pain points, what I like to call the data pipeline headache. I'm willing to bet this list looks painfully familiar to a lot of you. With the older tools, it's just a constant battle, right? It's almost impossible to see how one data table actually affects another. Trying to test your logic? Good luck. It usually means pushing your code to some staging environment and just hoping for the best. And knowing if your data is fresh, it's a total black box. And that's where the trust in your data just completely evaporates. So yeah, that's the problem. It's a mess. But what's the solution? Well, this brings us to a whole new way of thinking, and it's all centered around one powerful idea: assets. This right here, this is the core shift. The old task-based way basically just asks, hey, did my script run without errors? But the new asset-based way asks a much, much better question. Was the right piece of data actually produced? Is it healthy? Is it up to date? The whole focus moves from the process to the product. And let's be super clear about what we mean by an asset. This isn't some abstract concept. A data asset is a real, tangible thing that you care about. It's that critical table sitting in Snowflake, that big Parquet file in your data lake, or that shiny new machine learning model you just trained. It's the noun in your sentence, not just the verb. I love this quote from the community because it just nails the whole vibe of this shift. For anyone who isn't a software engineer, the solid principles are basically the gold standard for writing clean, scalable, and maintainable code. Dagster takes that same disciplined engineering-first mindset and applies it to data pipelines, which frankly has been missing for a long, long time. Okay, so the philosophy makes sense, but how does it actually work? Like in practice, how do you get from a folder full of Python scripts to this living, breathing, observable graph of all your data? Let's break down how Dagster puts it all together. It's actually a pretty elegant 3-step process. First, right in your Python code, you just add a decorator, @asset, above your functions. That's you telling Dagster, hey, this function right here, it produces a data asset. Step 2, Dagster just reads your code and automatically figures out all the dependencies, building that beautiful lineage graph for you. No more drawing diagrams in Lucidchart. And then third, you get to see everything in Dagit, which is Dagster's web UI. It basically becomes your command center for your entire data platform. So you make the switch, you adopt this workflow. What's the actual payoff? What does your team get out of it? Well, it really boils down to 2 things that every single data leader is chasing: building trust in your data and making your team move faster. And when you look at the benefits, the biggest one, by far, is just being able to ship more reliably. It makes sense, right? When your pipelines are built on this solid foundation of testable, observable assets, you start catching data quality problems before they blow up downstream. Things just break less often. And that directly fuels the second biggest win: more trust. When your business stakeholders can literally see that the data is fresh and understand where it came from, they actually start to believe in it. And we have to talk about the developer experience, because this is where a lot of the magic happens for the people actually building this stuff. With really strong support for local development, your engineers can finally iterate and test on their own laptops. They can use the tools they already know and love, like dbt, Spark, and Snowflake. The code itself becomes way easier to test and reuse. Plus, observability isn't some extra thing you have to bolt on at the end. It's baked right into the core of the whole platform from day one. Now, you can't really have this conversation without talking about the elephant in the room: Airflow. To really get where Dagster fits in the ecosystem, you gotta put it side by side with the old guard. This table really cuts right to the chase. Just look at that first row. At its heart, Airflow is a fantastic, world-class task scheduler. It's amazing at that one job. Dagster, on the other hand, is an asset orchestrator. It cares about the entire development lifecycle, from writing code on your laptop all the way to monitoring it in production. You can see how things like lineage and data-specific features are just built right into Dagster, where in Airflow you often need a bunch of extra plugins and a lot of manual setup to get the same thing. So here's the bottom line. If your main problem is just, I need to schedule a bunch of scripts and make sure they run, hey, Airflow is powerful and it's been battle tested for years. But if you're trying to build a true data platform where the assets themselves, their quality, their lineage, their freshness, are the most important things, well then Dagster was designed for you from the ground up. Okay, hopefully you're feeling a little bit excited about this different way of thinking. So what's the next step? Let's talk about actually getting your hands dirty and trying this thing out for yourself. And the best part is you can be up and running in literally minutes, right on your own machine. It's really just 3 simple steps. You pop open your terminal and run one command, pip install Dagster Dadget, then you write a super simple Python function and stick that @asset decorator on top, and finally you just type Dadget in your terminal. And that's it. You've got a full-blown data orchestration UI running on your laptop. So we'll leave you with this one final thought to take back to your team. Take a hard look at what you're doing today and ask yourselves this question. Are you just building pipelines, things that run tasks and eventually break? Or are you intentionally building a platform of lasting, reliable, and trusted data assets? Because honestly, the answer to that question could change everything.